Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Your Wildlife Images Reviewed. In this episode, Andew Beck and myself have a look at some images that were sent through from Alice from our recent safari in South Luangwa. So without further ado, here are her images. Hi Alice, thank you so much for sending through your images. Andrew and I had a quick look through them. I got Andrew involved in this. Obviously, he wasn't at on the trip, unfortunately. So it's just a nice fresh pair of eyes. Like I mentioned, we had a quick look through them and some incredible images, and amazing to think that it's from one particular trip. But we're going to slowly start going through them and then see what we would maybe change or add to make those images just to give them a little bit more power. All right. Here's the first one.
Yeah, so I really like this. It's a cool moment. If we look at some of the detail, it's quite grainy, and there's a little bit of color noise that's crept in around here. You can just see some of the details there. So what you could do, and what I've been doing quite a bit of in my own editing, especially with something like this, is I think you've used a bit of a vignette or maybe even a radial filter to darken things. But if you were to use the radial filter, and we have a look, we're working outside there now, we're hardly working our subject. What's nice is Lightroom now has a noise slider in here. So essentially you can be super aggressive in your noise reduction in these areas. And that will have addressed some of it. Obviously, we're not working this area quite just in here yet. There, because again, we're not working onto the leopard, we can still go in with a brush and apply some noise reduction just into this little section around here. You could see that little bit of color noise that's kind of crept in through here. So we're addressing that. And then the only other adjustment or suggestion that I have around this would be to look at the detail panel and just make sure that you've used your noise reduction slider there, especially from luminance, but also the color side of things. So I think the color alone should address a lot of that there. One other thing to remember is when you're sharpening, and I'm sure you have, but to mask out. So just remember, you hold down the Alt key, anything that is white will be sharpened, and in this particular image you can almost be that aggressive with your sharpening. Otherwise, a cool moment. I think you've done really well to just kind of draw the focus in onto the leopard. Quite aggressive, but I think this becomes more artistic than just a documentary shot.
It's just interesting. I quite like, especially with the spotlight stuff. It just makes it, because you're going that artistic route. To maybe look at something like black and white and things, and that allows you then to be a little bit more aggressive. With your edits.
And also with that black and white, once you get your yellow and orange channels, you can see without having to do any brush work how we've been able to, you can just by manipulating the color channels there, make your subject pop. And that's what you want, is that point of contrast. So I agree, and a black and white, that would certainly deal with the color noise.
Exactly.
But yeah, it could work very well as a black and white conversion as well.
Love that. Awesome. Let's have a look at the next one.
I love the scale of this. You know, how tall is a giraffe? Well, cheapest, that's a wild dog. It's really, really cool. My only little comment on this would be, for some reason, this little spot over here draws my eye. So I would crop in just a touch, just to remove that point of contrast on the edge of the frame, to something like that. Otherwise, I think it's a fantastic shot. I love the contrast in the giraffes, and then the story of the scale with that dog, and the fact that it's even got a paw up. I mean, that's just completely awesome. Over the top.
And it's almost like there's eye contact between the giraffe and the wild dog here. It's almost like there's a bit of a sort of a connection, which is very cool.
Really nice shot.
I don't think I would add anything else to that.
Very well processed. Love the contrast and the vibrance in it.
Nice one. Well done, Alice.
This is really cool, hey?
Beautiful, beautiful. We worked this quite hard. Amazing to get those elephants that late afternoon coming down to the water and then getting those quillias flying all around. Spectacular sight and light. I can't think of anything. Maybe, I don't know if this is distracting for you, this bright part.
Yeah, so that's always a bit of a conundrum. You know, how do you deal with the dynamic range that you have in a scene like this? There may be ways, I'm not too sure how much you've teased out of it already, but if we just grab a graduated filter and we're to use a little bit of the dehaze and dropping the clarity and then highlights, you don't want to go too much because then you start to get a little bit awkward. But, to see how much you can try and recover into that, it's very, very difficult. The only other thing that you could look at doing, and I don't know how much has been cropped out of it already, is to just go in slightly tighter, which, also still works.
That's what I'm doing.
Probably a little bit more balanced. Yeah. And then the only other thing that you can look at doing is when it comes to the hue, if you're wanting to make these yellows just a little bit more in line with the orange, if you take the yellow slider and you just you'll see what it does is it changes the hue of the yellow tones in the image. So you can warm those up and bring them closer to the orange point. Yeah. You can see how that changes. Yeah. But a lovely image. I love the mood. I probably would go with something along these lines, just to cut out that bright highlight, which is pulling your eye away from all of this action down here. Yeah. But a cool moment. Hey?
Absolutely. I love how that dust is lit up and also the wings on those birds.
Yeah.
And very, very cool. And because, again, you've got that side-on profile of the elephants, there's no sort of mistaking of what it is. Beautiful image, well done, well processed.
Yeah, very nice.
Very cool. Okay.
This one's very contrasty.
Yeah.
I think you had one or two suggestions, Johan.
Yeah, I think I quite enjoy the contrast, and it is quite a difficult thing to get that balance right when you're photographing in that forest with like that late morning.
Light. Yeah.
It's very tricky. So I don't know how much you've done in your post-processing, but the first thing I try and do is just to bring those highlights down a little bit maybe, and then just see if we can lift these shadows a bit more, and then again work with those individual colors. So remember, I don't know if this... No, let's see if we're not going to have anything.
Yeah, because we've got that as black and white. But I think it's tricky in the dappled light to balance it, and I think you've done very well to process this as a black and white. As Johan said, the just dropping the highlights alone on that side, these little bright areas here onto the rump of the ellie, just to try and recover some of that. If you have a look at before, and then that's just the highlights, and this is based on a JPEG image. Yeah. So I think you could probably go through and just, even if you just go with a brush just to bring this back into check a little bit. Oh. The background is less of an issue, but just that at least that part on there. And then as Johan said, even if it's a localized adjustment, lifting the shadows onto the ellie, just to see that little bit more detail in there. But this is, again, the dynamic range is quite tricky.
Difficult. But I love the sort of natural feel. I love your composition in this, having it in the bottom of the frame, showing that size of the trees. If you compare how big an elephant is, that ebony forest there close to campus. This is actually close to Kainga camp as you go out. And we were every day we were hoping please just get a herd of elephants.
Is that where the next frame? No, sorry, I'm jumping ahead here. But there's one coming. Which, put that elephant in that scene.
Also beautiful, yeah.
This is stunning. I love the colors in this. Yeah, really, really cool, and the play of the depth. Again, I would have a look at your noise reduction. There's still quite a bit of grain in here, and I think even if we were to, if we just did some noise reduction on there, it starts to address some of this. And because it's such a clean image, with your sharpening, you can be quite aggressive. Yeah. Just make sure that you're only sharpening those edges and that you're not sharpening any grain. Yeah. If we come back here and just to show you guys, because I know the screen won't really convey it, but you can see in that sky where there's actually nothing, see how much grain Lightroom is picking up as we progress and move through here. So my feeling is that we can address that with the noise reduction slider, especially on the luminance side of things. There's very little color noise. But a stunning image. Love those colors. Those late afternoon pastel tones are beautiful. And
I like how you've played with the depth of field as well. Shooting at 3.5, it's actually a miracle that you got that. Very well done. But love how this one is in focus. You've got that shallow depth of field. This one, the wings are out, tails out, and like we mentioned throughout the trip, photographing beetles is not the easiest bird to photograph in the world. So to get this with those beautiful colors, I think you've done a really good job.
And I think just to reiterate, a great choice of image, because I imagine you didn't just take one, you took a couple. But why this image works is that there's subject separation. There's contrast, and this one is sharper than this one, and obviously that one. But it's almost like a story of the bee eater. Each different wing fold, wing position.
Yeah.
This one, which is the focal point, is framed by the others. So there's a triangular kind of shape around it. Yeah. There's just so many variables which come in, and obviously Alice had planned this, with these bee eaters.
All planned.
Yeah.
I also love how there's a bit of light going onto those wings. Where these ones are all dark, but I love how there's just a bit of light on those wings.
Yeah.
Small sort of attention to detail, but very well done. I think that's great.
Stunning. Nice. I mean, just a really cool moment. Those rich colors are beautiful. I love the black band, which kind of narrows you down to this.
Yeah.
Again, the only comment that we have was around the noise reduction. And even if I just do this, bearing in mind that this is a JPEG and you go quite aggressive on here, it's not able to get around that.
Yeah.
And because it's so localized on this particular image, you could then again go in with a brush, take a higher flow value, for overlay so we can see what's going on. And you can work this area here being aggressive with your noise reduction in that particular area. So that would make a huge difference. You would just run around, and I'm doing this as a very quick example.
Yeah.
And I think that in combination with the detail and the luminance noise reduction on the global scale will make a huge difference, because you want that nice and clean. It's in the background, it can be soft, so you could even, over and above the noise, just drop the clarity a touch. And if we go in and have a look at the difference there, so you can see it's quite pronounced. But I would definitely touch up that one.
Yeah. The only thing for me is also with those elephants, I love these sort of the first three, but then this becomes like a bit of a big blob almost. Like maybe if you had a little bit more separation. I know it is difficult, but maybe just have a look through your other images and just see if you have some that have got a little bit more separation, because this almost looks like one long elephant almost in a way.
Yeah.
And
that's very difficult when there's multiples.
But I'd love
the reach of the trunk.
Yeah, I love these two here, the foot, and then the little baby's trunk coming through here. These two at the back I find maybe a little bit distracting, but it's like you mentioned, it's a difficult thing to do. But have a look at your other images. Maybe there might be one where there's a little bit more separation. But I love the colors in the water, and super image, man.
Yeah. Nice.
This is cool.
Yeah. Love the posture. I was saying to Johan, it's just the angle and the posture here, there's real intent by the looks of things. The one comment that we did have was that it maybe looked a touch too vibrant. So if we just dial the vibrance back a little bit, just on the forehead here, these yellows and those colors coming through there, just a touch. But again, that's it might be a style and a preference from your side. But a great crop, great angle. And in terms of choosing the right image with the paw position and that curled tail, really nice.
And the beautiful background as well. Actually, I like the fact that you've included this tree here.
Yeah.
And beautiful bit of backlight as well, which you exposed for it beautifully. And like Andrew said, waited for the correct moment. Super image. Apart from that, I wouldn't change anything.
No,
with this particular one.
Great job. Man.
This is the one you were talking about.
Yeah, I started to look for the elephant. I couldn't find one. And you said you guys did the same. But just a beautiful, beautiful shot. It's these kind of scenes that often so many photographers will just drive past because there isn't anything in it. But as Johan says, just a little Ellie to anchor the shot, or a lion or something in here. Man, this is my kind of scene. This is absolutely stunning. And I think from a viewer's perspective, you can get lost in this.
Absolutely.
You've done really well to tame the highlights and the shadows, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. I remember you said, we would have loved to spend more time in here, but there's never enough time on a trip. You look for leopard, or there's a leopard somewhere, you want to spend time with it, and then we end up spending the whole morning with lions or with something else that we could have easily spent another 3 days there and just focus on the ebony forest.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. But great image. Let's go again and get an elephant in there.
Nice. I like the intent here of deconstructing and showing something a little bit different. Highlights feel a little high over here, and maybe exposure on a global scale, just taming that down a little bit in conjunction with those highlights. brings that back in.
Yeah.
Just reeling it in just a little bit.
Yeah.
From a cropping perspective, this little point of light over here, you see this light on the edge of the frame. I would be inclined to maybe just take that in a touch, and then to take out this highlighted area, and then have something slightly more like that.
Yeah.
But these kind of shots are not easy to get. You have to get very close. Even with 400 or 600, you have to be quite close. And I think you've done pretty well to get the pattern and texture here. The one other thing, when you're shooting for these kind of scenes, because you're close and because you're shooting at a greater focal length, ideally you want to be shooting this at kind of 10 and beyond, because the belly of the giraffe comes out, and if you focus here, you've got another 10-15 centimeters, which at 400 mils, when you're that close at 5.6, it's going to be quite shallow. So you will find areas up on the top of the frame here are sharper than here. So I think that just something to keep in mind with texture shots when you're deconstructing and things are close like that. Yeah. But a great scene.
I just want to see if we may just bring this temperature down just a touch.
Yeah.
Just to there.
Yeah.
Just to give it, so it's not so yellowy. It might also be a screen thing. I'm not sure. I know you did say you've been playing with different sort of colors on your screen. So it might just be a screen thing. Different screens giving different colors and things. But otherwise, like Andrew said, maybe a little bit more depth of field. But love the idea, just sort of thinking out the box and creating something different, something that you don't have already, which is very cool.
I love this scene. The only suggestion that I had on this, the way that you've shot it with the depth and the natural framing and telling the story, my only suggestion would be because we've got so much natural framing here, and because it's quite an intimate scene, would be to crop in a bit tighter. So we're utilizing the elephants in the foreground here on left and right, just to kind of provide a bit of a natural frame. I'm not going to go higher there because I don't want that to creep in. So I'm going to drop down onto the edge, and if you have a look around now, we've pretty much got elephant uniformly through. So just looking at this right hand side, not the water there, just onto the edge, maximizing the pixels. So I don't want to cut out too many pixels. This trunk has already gone, so I would look at doing something like that.
Big difference.
It's a slightly different story. It's a bit more intimate, and you almost feel like you're a voyeur. You're just kind of peering into their world. But I love this, and I love the play of depth of field here, using subjects in the foreground. Often people will just focus on what's in the front. This is a great opportunity to just pick those little moments, and they literally are fleeting moments.
Yeah, I love this. It wouldn't, apart from the crop now, it wouldn't change anything. It could be a cool black and white image as well if you just bring the contrast up a bit. If you just maybe drop the blacks, maybe a bit of a vignette as well, just to bring your viewer's eyes in there. That's very cool. So remember, our eyes are drawn away from the dark areas and onto the light areas. So I love that.
Very nice.
Very, very cool.
This is great as well. I really like the story here. I like the way that you've desaturated the image, but not all the way to black and white. That's a very cool technique. In the middle of the day like this, it lends itself to that old school African safari type feel. If anything, I would crop in just a little bit more on the left here, just to make it equidistant. So if you look at the space that we have here to there, and then looking at this, I don't want to crop off what I guess is a buffalo patty over there. So I'll keep that in. Just giving it a little bit on the edge there. But it's a great moment and a great shot.
Very
like cool. The processing on it.
I would maybe also just cheat a little bit. These birds for me are a little bit distracting, so maybe
I'm going to look the other way.
So maybe just get rid of those.
What birds?
What birds? No birds. So it's just, I don't know, that just bothered me over there. Maybe I'm so used to cleaning dust spots with my cameras. But love how, the whole story you've got there. This one looks like a young male, obviously focused, one chasing in there, and then the dust that goes with it, and it looks like an impala here as well. So quite a bit going on. Very, very cool. Love the image.
Yeah, good job.
Nice. I think it's that same pride again.
Very, very nice. I love the still, calm waters. Maybe a little bit yellow again. So again, it could just be a color balance, or in our hue, saturation, luminance here, if we make the yellows a bit more orange. See how they changed there. So yeah, something like that. But a great shot. Love the sense of space here. I mean, that's definitely Luangwa.
Yeah, love your composition on that. Very cool.
Lovely shot.
It's that little cub.
Yeah, I think this is probably the weakest shot out of the collection. If we have a look at it as a whole, I think this is probably the weakest one. I like what's going on here with the play of the light and the shadows. It feels a little bit orange. Again, so if we're saying maybe cool it down, and I think Johan, you had some suggestions on just maybe to lift the shadows a little bit.
Yeah, to lift the shadows. I actually quite like this tree being nice and dark. So I'd maybe even go with a brush on the cub, and then maybe just lift it from there. Not a lot, just a little bit, just to get a bit of more detail on there. Maybe lift that up a bit more, just to get a little bit more detail in the face. I'm not sure about this branch over here.
What about I'm just going random crop here.
Yeah.
Just thinking, I don't know how many pixels we have to play with. But something along those lines is also quite nice. Judging by this one, it looks like you might still have quite a bit of resolution left in there. And this was just off a JPEG.
Yeah.
But I think you were also kind of going towards
something like that.
Yeah. So there's multiple options here. If this was full frame, you've got options to play with for sure.
Yeah, and especially with all those branches and things, you've got a lot of possible distracting elements. So I love that half of the face is nice and dark. So that's why I would go in closer, because just to have almost like this half of the face, even a little bit closer than that, maybe something to that effect. That to me is very cool. So and then I would again try with a brush and just sort of lift this up a little bit more, and then maybe just try and see if we can bring it something like that. Just to get rid of some of that orange. I know it was late afternoon, and often the trouble is you often have too much sort of golden light, especially on lions and on leopard. But just bring that down a bit, and that's the crop I would go for.
Yeah, nice.
Very, very cool.
Not much to do on this one, just really well done.
Yeah,
stunning. Love that little bit of rim lighting around the hair and the neck.
Yeah, stunning image.
Also,
this was cool.
Really, really nice. Well balanced in terms of the colors. Sure. I mean, again, it would work as a black and white. Yeah, just really, really cool shot.
Yeah, I think what you've done well here is often with spotlights, it can become a little bit too yellowish. So this, perfectly balanced. I don't think it's too yellow. Love that tongue out. There's a bit of eye contact there almost. And then it managed to get the tail in as well, which is pretty cool. But like Andrew said, black and white or color, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, really nice. Well done. And that's it.
That's it. Well, Alice, well done. Some very cool images. Like I said, I mean, from one trip, it's a pretty good hit rate. Only in 8 days. So well done. Guys, go give Alice a follow. Her handle's down at the bottom here. And if you would like some of your images featured in one of the episodes, please feel free to either send Andrew or myself a DM on Instagram or an email. It's down at the bottom here, and would happily feature you in one of the episodes. Andrew, thank you so much for your
Pleasure,
time.
Man. Always enjoy this.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch up next time. Cheers.